plan is in the making, we are pursuing the aggressive reinforcement and expansion of the transmission distribution infrastructure within the countries. And in the external front, our active and constructive engagements with the bilateral mechanisms with India, Bangladesh and China, we see activities under these as solid foundation in operationalizing connectivity and trade. Again, internally, the NEA is looking at to forming a province-wide distribution companies in order to support internal electricity marketing and also following the envisaged generation mix in the system. While on the external front again, in the long run, to cite some few, backstopping against the non-payment by the off-taker, sharing of hydrological risks and benefit, use of international standards and social sustainability, protection from changing law, parallel compensatory mechanism in case of event of default, project handover mechanism and transfer price determinations. I'd just like to summarize by saying that the potential to harness water resources for hydroelectricity with the evolving electricity market, domestic and cross-border, and the positive reforms in our policy framework have created investment-friendly environment in the energy sector. We request you to consider the avenues for the investment that have been offered, and the Ministry is committed to extend all the necessary support and assistance. And for the further information, can visit these 3 sites, the Ministry of Water Resources site, Department of Electricity Development.
Very efficient contractor. So this country can be one very strong investment area.
My population is almost similar to Chinese. And the most significant step forward in the policy arena is energy banking, which is
Sir, this will really encourage when we say greenhouse gas, we say climate change, we say we are in global village. So naturally investing in hydropower in Nepal is not only helping Nepal or the neighbors, it's helping the globe. The temperature out, if I remember, 4,000, 5,000 for this 9,000 megawatt.
At present, our generation capacity grid base is around 18,000 megawatt. And with as per our
thank you. When we say power trade between Bangladesh and Nepal, you can see it's a tri-relation, three-country relation.
Sub-regional power trading also. So now we are in a discussion on the way negotiate finalization of the almost near to finalization of the negotiation for importing
almost 15,000 megawatt for next 10 years. Government has announced the target for next 3 years 3,000 megawatt, by next 5 years 5,000 megawatt, and by next 10 years 15,000 megawatt. That fifth is reservoir, Peking runoff river and runoff river projects. Mostly the private sectors are engaged in runoff river project, and we have devised different rates for different types of hydropower projects. Runoff river projects, different rates, and Peking runoff rivers from 1 hour to 6 hours, different rates are there. And reservoir projects, we have different rates. So we have already devised the rates for different types of hydropower projects. We have already shown that the generation mean equity of 17%, and that the rate for this, the rate upward increment of rates is not allowed, and down for negotiation to.
Still for two type of project, PRO and storage, Nepali Electricity Authority is offering one of the best price as comparable to any other country. It's more than 10 cents in one sector for 6 months, and more than 12 cents in storage. I don't think any other country offering this price, because I checked with Canada, even Canada not offering this price. I checked China. I found that the price is much lower as compared to what India is offering, because the value for the storage power is much more higher for the region. And I can see sometime in India the power price is jumping to 21 rupees Indian currency. It's touching sometimes, because maybe the solar is not supplying at night, in the evening, and the power load is increasing, the air condition load is increasing right from almost 8 p.m. And can you tell us something shortly about Santoshji, that
there is a cap of rupees 20. I mean, we think it may the prices might have gone higher than 20 if the cap was not there, but just a guess. What happens? The wind power plants which are rates that we see is at times 16, 18, 20 rupees, though the average is about 6 to 7 rupees, but the highest prices have gone to roughly 20 rupees. And you have correctly said that hydro can solve this problem, because if we have got more sources of hydro, either through Nepal or through Bhutan, it would help rationalize our prices. Though these prices are not all over the day, all through the day, but in a few blocks, 6 to 8 blocks, 8 blocks, I mean every block is 15-minute block, we do have huge prices. So yes, I mean if we have got enough hydro reserve through our neighboring countries, it would solve the problem.
Yeah. I learned in China and Canada that more and more solar and wind is coming. You need more and more hydro to match this one. Otherwise, these two systems is never going by. It has to go together. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everybody, for that one. Now, I want to go to...
formation. The title for this session has been coined by the organizers for two reasons. First, the present government's campaign for Prosperous Nepal and Happy Nepali cannot be real. Adequate energy or power is generated to drive the economy. In other words, energy or power generation has to be a major driver for Nepal's economic transformation. Demand for energy is increasing globally, correcting the energy supply situation in the region. As Mr. Gautam mentioned, 8% of the population through a mix of grid and off-grid systems. In the meantime, we are implementing several transmission and distribution system reinforcement projects to be able to provide reliable electricity services to the people. In the years, we are planning to have about 10,000 megawatt generation capacity for domestic consumption alone, with another 5,000 of foreign origin. We are well aware of perceived and problems faced by different players in the sector. We have been devising various mechanisms to manage. We have already announced a program called People's Hydropower Program to develop significant number of projects accelerate pace of reform to unbundle the sole public utility companies are now being to be under the different provinces. Legal instruments already is placed for the formation of a regulator in the sector. The Electricity Regulation Commission will come functional very soon. We are committed to continue to in essence, we are creating a favorable environment where concerns raised by all stakeholders are addressed, regime and concessions provided to project developers are attractive. Mr. Gautam has already given you an overview of this generation of power. The major constants in most instances in capital investment required for project development. Equity investment which can be generated within Nepal is limited. So is the case for loan investment, as the amount of money Nepali banks can lend each year to the sector is inadequate for the development of larger projects. This clearly points to the need for foreign direct investment in the sector. Even in the People's Hydro Program, which I mentioned earlier, we will need to seek a substantial amount of debt. To that end, we have highly investor-friendly regulations which treat national and foreign parties at par. We have been successful to open up opportunities for access to power markets beyond our political borders. The power trade and transmission interconnection agreement with India and understandings reached with China as well as with Bangladesh for cooperation in the power sector have laid the foundation for cross-border electricity trade. These developments should give further confidence to prospective developers. As Mr. Gautam presented, a transmission master plan has been prepared with the involvement of the relevant authorities in India. 11 high voltage cross-border transmission fast to develop a second line. You will appreciate the fact that we need to utilize the resource complementary framework agreement on energy cooperation and also party to the understanding reached for the establishment of the domestic grid interconnection. Eventually, such sub-regional or regional interconnections facilitated by the cross-border lines, we can have trilateral, which will guide to overall development of water resources in Nepal. We have also begun to develop river basin plans and a hydropower development master plan for holistic development of the various potential water and power projects. To sum up, we are gearing up to take up attractive us to further reinforce our initiatives for reform in the power sector. Thank you. Thank you all.
A layman, I'm a very young guy as compared to them. People's participation in the hydropower in Nepal, because we have many friends from other countries, 39 countries, that last time I applied for 10,000 units of share for the government, multiple unit with the multiple, let's say, investor. Each and every Nepali, they want to make the in hydropower sector. That's really good of wealth distribution. So I really appreciate government for that, and I really appreciate ministry for that one. But I'm very sad I get only 20 shares, not more. Chinese friend took me inside the 3 gauges, and the foreigner not allowed. Suddenly I found 10, 20 police people came. They just caught me. They put me in the van. I was surprised. Why they caught me? And more than 10 times after that, you must go and see how the 3 Gazes is doing with the water management, navigation, flood control. There are many bad news, but when I went, I've been there for 7 days together with the 3 Gazes friends, and I can see 3 Gazes is perfectly doing everything good, like they have managing power with solar and wind together with India or with China, and it's for the regional benefit. It's not for the one country. With this, I want to close the session because we are running out of time. I was supposed to ask 2-3 questions, but we didn't have time because I'm getting pressure from my backside. So we just go with the MC program now. Thanks for everything. So let's appreciate our panelists.
Thank you indeed. Thank you, Mr. Malla, and thank you for this very distinguished panel, for this very enriching and effective deliberation. I'm sure that is lined up after this tea break. Before we come and head towards closing the session, we have a very important formality to execute, and I have the pleasure of inviting the Secretary at the Ministry of Energy, Water Resources, sending our gratitude to the chair of this panel, the Honorable Mr. Barshaman Pon, Minister for Energy, Water Resource and Irrigation.